Hey, what's going on? I recorded the show into the wrong microphone, and the audio is absolute dog shit. Tried to clean it up the best possible. I would have re-recorded the show, but I do not have the time to go do that because we need to go record the Dogger Pass podcast, which is coming out very soon, so I've run out of time to redo the entire show. All of the cheat sheet notes are going to be available in the newsletter. So go click on that. That's down in the description. I think you can listen to it. It's going to be bothersome first, but it's loud enough. It's a bit echoey because the microphone that I was using to record was actually over here. So that's not great news. However, there's good information in it if you do want to listen to it as I break everything down. Sorry about that. Normally this would never happen. You guys know me, and I probably wouldn't release this out. But I did actually like what I said on the show. So if you can bear with it, I would thank you very much. Let's get to it.
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings 2022 AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am bets, DraftKings ownership, and props. Additionally, I want to let you all know to smash the like button to the episode, sub to Mayo Media Network, and give me the most off-the-wall player you are considering for one and done this week down in the comment section. I want to remind everyone to sub to the newsletter. The final research and picks newsletter is coming out on Wednesday afternoon. So if you're not subbed, you're not going to get it unless you just go to Substack or click on the link. Then you can just read it for free anyway. But you may as well just subscribe so I can steal your email address. Okay? Thanks. Additionally, the Listeners League on DraftKings is available down in the description. As I'm recording this, there are 31 spots left, I believe. So it's more likely than not that it will be full by the time this is released, which is like 20 minutes from now. Either way, I still recommend that you go give it a shot because it is the best tournament on DraftKings, likely to be bigger starting next week when we don't have stupid multiple course events, and then football is going away. People need to reinvest into something. Now, let's talk about the bets for the week. I took a different approach here. I actually invested a lot less money into Pebble Beach than I would in a regular tournament, although when you see the amount of names that I have wagered on, it's not going to seem that way. So I've broken it up into two parts. One, the actual betting card for the week, and then the fun lotto tickets at the bottom, which I didn't bet any top 20s. I didn't bet any first round leaders, which I normally do. So I basically just threw them all on some of these super duper long shots in the field that I think have a chance and played them with the top 5 instead. And it came out to less money than I would normally spend on top 20s and first round leaders. So here we are. So here are the 5 that I'm going with. One is a last second edition because I've been betting them and I feel like I should just kind of ride the wave with them, and you know how that is. You don't want to be off your guy the week that they eventually do well, and I hadn't invested that much money into it, so here we are. Jordan Spieth, 22-1 to win this tournament. I am going with Justin Rose, 28-1 to win the tournament. I am going with as well. Christian Bezadenhout, 55-1 with the top 5 each way. The late ad was the glove. Lucas Glover, 80-1 with the top 5 each way, and then Andrew Putnam, 125-1 with the top 5 each way. Those are the 5 picks, the official betting card for the week at AT&T Pebble Beach. Unfortunately, if you have not made a wager yet, you missed out on especially those top 2 numbers, because after Will Zalatoris withdrew with the positive COVID test, Spieth's numbers plunged down to 16 or 14, depending on where you're at. Rose went from 28 to 18 very quickly. So those numbers don't exist anymore. So hopefully you were in on them anyway. I tweeted out about Spieth yesterday the moment Zalatoris withdrew. That's when I went and bet it because I was hoping it would fall to like 25. That wasn't going to be the case the moment that Will Z took himself out of this tournament, so I had to hit the 22 because it was still available. If you can find a 20, yeah, I wouldn't like either of those numbers, to tell you the truth. I don't like the 16 on Spieth. I don't like the 18 on Rose. I like the 22 and the 28. Like, the difference between Day and Rose for me this week is that Day was 20 or 22 and Rose was 28. I think it's the 28. Maybe if you shop around, you can find that. But if you're using DraftKings Sportsbook, probably wouldn't even touch this tournament. At the top of the board, at least, you could at least please some of these long shots. Bezadenhout, Glover, and Putnam. Putnam's a bit lower now. I think he's around 90 at DraftKings Sportsbook. It's still a play for me as long as you play the top 5 to go along with it. Now, here's where it gets fun. The Super Lotto tickets this week, all with the top 5 each way, in place of the normal first-round leaders, which I put in there. Chappell, 275-1. Jimmy Walker, 300-1. Mark Hubba, 350-1. Cameron Percy, 400-1. Nick Watney, 400-1. Chan Kim, 500-1. And Max McGreevy, 500 to 1. I hope one of these guys makes the cut. This is not a very big investment on guys that are 500 to 1, and I wouldn't expect you to play. Maybe you want to play along with me. Who knows? But I just think that we've seen a lot of long shot winners win at this tournament over the past 6 years. Why not try to take this? Is gambling. Might as well take a gamble on some of these guys. Over in Europe, the non-Saudi tournament, the Euro tournament, I played, of course, Guido, 125 to 1 with the top 5 each way. Andrea Pavon, who's quickly not shooting 90 every round anymore. I liked his game like 3 years ago. Seems like he's getting back into form. He's 140 to 1 with the top 5 each way. And Mav Antcliffe, Antface, the Aussie, 225 to 1 with the top 5 each way. One of the best iron players on the European Tour. For more on Saudi and this other random Euro tournament, tune into European Tour Picks and Bets with Sky and Tom up on Mayo Media Network right now. In Saudi, I played Kokrak at 40 to 1, Wolf at 60 to 1 with the top 5 each way. And of course, the one and done selections for the week, I went with Rose, Jeff went with Mav, McNeely, and Cust went with Jason Day. Once again, down in the description, or in the comment section, sorry, tell me who you are considering to use as your one and done pick for the week. Of course, my picks don't necessarily reflect what I play in the giant one and done, because I can't let you know what I'm doing in there. I'm trying to win the money against all of you. In our 3-man, those are the picks for the week, though. So you can find all of this, the cheat sheet, in the newsletter. I also have a super treble. When you click on the newsletter, you'll see this stupid. I played a parlay between Pebble, Saudi, and the Euro tournament, all with the each way. They were 20-cent bets, all with the each way. So it came to like $100 after I took all of the people. It just, I wake up early on Saturday and Sunday mornings because of the kids, and I like to tune into Golf Channel and watch the overseas events. So at least this gives me some sort of rooting interest. I mean, I think if Antcliffe, Putnam, and Wolf win, I think I win like $333,000. So let's go those guys. Even if they all come inside the top 5, I think I'm doing pretty well as it comes out to that. But hey, this is what happens after you hit a golf winner. At least to me, I'm like, oh, I have extra money in the account. Let me burn it all to the ground. Because that's what these bets seem like this week. I do like the 5 that I picked to win Pebble, though. I'm rolling with it. Let's go. Prize picks for the week in the prop market, I actually found an advantage. Here's the problem, though. I mean, here's not the problem, because I can give you a free $100 bet right now if you want to go take it. Hit the description. You can use our link, or just go to prizepicks.com. Use code MMN. No, MMN, Mayo Media Network, MMN at first deposit. They'll match your deposit of up to $100. So I would highly recommend you go do that and go check out the golf plays. It's single round only. The problem is you have to take an under somewhere. You have to take one over, at least one over, at least one under. So there was no unders on the single day that I really liked. And it's all guys who are starting at Pebble Beach this week. If you're looking for the tee time splits, I put those in the newsletter as well. So you can go pick your course from those if you want to stack certain courses on certain days for Showdown, or just play overall stacks, which I'll get to in a moment. We talk about the DraftKings plays. But the one thing that I did notice is that these are all Pebble Beach players. Players on average at Pebble Beach hit the fairway around 70% of the time. So they're giving us Russell Knox over under 10 fairways hit. And it's obviously with 14, because there's 4 par 3s, which don't count. So you need to get that out of 14. So what's that, 10.5? 10.5 divided into 14 is 75% for Russell Knox. The average is 70, and he's always well above field average when it comes to hitting fairways. So over Russell Knox, 10 fairways hit. Joel Damon over 9.5 fairways hit. Matthew Fitzpatrick over 8.5 fairways hit, which is well below his regular fairway percentage anyway. Now at an easier course, I'll have the overall stats of all the players listed, both of the past 50 rounds at all courses and all of the rounds at Pebble Beach golf links, put into the newsletter as well. If you really want to do a comparison of that, I went through it, did it all for you. It's all up there. Then I had the problem with the under, because the unders for any of them are tough. You have to pick a single stat. So it's either greens in regulation, birdies are better, or fairways hit. I ended up going with Jimmy Walker, who I did bet on to win this tournament, by the way. Under 10.5 greens in regulation in round 1 at Pebble Beach. The irons have I just looked at who was the worst iron player by and large, coming into this event, it's him. And these are the smallest greens on the PGA Tour. He's a pretty good scrambler, so that's not saying he's going to have a bad round by any means, but I had to pick someone. So that's why I made it the flex play. Now, normally, if you have 4 people and you don't make it a flex play on Prize Picks, you use a power play, $100 becomes $1,000. Because I played the flex, $100, if all 4 hit, is $500, but if 3 of the 4 hit, it still pays $150. So you need 3 of the 4 to win money. If all 4 win, hey, we're in still a pretty good spot. I give you that free bet at prizepicks.com by using code MMN at first deposit. They will match all of your deposit of up to $100. So I suggest you go check that out right now. DraftKings. It's the most lineups I've actually played in a while. That's why I like the $5. Because like when it was the $8, it's like, I don't want to spend that much money. But I played 45 entries into the $5 this week, which is, I usually play like 30 on average, but I did want to break it up by main lineups that I played, and then I divvied them up between a core stack of guys starting at Pebble, guys starting at Monterey, and guys starting at Spyglass Hill. I don't know which one's going to play easier, but all I'm hoping is that if for whatever reason Saturday wind picks up and Pebble plays really difficult, then all of a sudden you're dealing with a circumstance where all of the best players in the field, by and large, are getting not necessarily wiped out at Pebble Beach, but conditions will be much tougher at Pebble Beach than the other 2 courses if Saturday picks up. And it protects you against if Friday the winds pick up kind of thing. But of the T-stacks of the guys playing Pebble on Saturday, the TV day, Cantlay, Spieth, Kuchar, Streelman, Bezadenhout, Putnam, Harkins, Berger, Lonto, McNeely, they're all a part of that wave. If you start with the Pebble Beach start, that one becomes pretty interesting because it only leads you to a few options. If actually, unless you want to leave like $10,000 on the table for DraftKings, you're now dealing with a circumstance where it's basically Day, Mito, Fitz is how you're going to end up starting all of your lineups because they're really the only 3 guys above like 8,000 who are starting there that day. So that creates some pretty interesting builds. That's a way to get yourself contrarian too at the same time, and it just gives you a few other options. Like the guys I included in the player pools of the stacks, I played 6, 6, and 10. 10 of the one with all of the good guys because there were just far more options than 6 and 6 of the other 2 waves. And then I start getting guys like Pat Perez and Pendrift and Mito Pereira, who I didn't use in my main lines, but I had to use in this one because I needed salary somewhere. Same as at Spyglass. Like you're dealing with like Minwoo, Charlie Hoffman, Seamus Power, Harmon, a lot of guys I didn't end up using regularly, I ended up putting into that stack at Spyglass. So the only reason I do that is because I've had success with this method in the past. There's no real rhyme or reason to it. Maybe it just gets you onto different guys, and then maybe you can luck your way into one of these 3 groupings, starting at the different courses, just end up with an easier day because things happen. And at least you've now put yourself into a circumstance where you can get lucky. So that's my take on DraftKings in terms of the picks this week. My cheat sheet is available up at DraftKingsNation.com. If you go search that right now, my article is up there too. In terms of ownership this week, I think we're still looking at Cantlay. It's going to be Cantlay or McNeely. I'm guessing is going to be number 1. So I'll go Cantlay, McNeely, Jason Day, Daniel Berger, Justin Rose as the top 5. It really does seem to be top-centric this week in terms of ownership. There are very few guys down the board that are garnering that much ownership. Obviously, this doesn't start until a little bit into Thursday, so if you do have a membership at FantasyNational.com, use FantasyNational.com/Mayo to get 20% off. If you don't have that as of yet, you can continue to check back on the ownership percentages. And these aren't just me taking these and listing them in the order that they appear at Fantasy National. They're that plus me putting my own spin onto them, because sometimes at Fantasy National it's just giving you a sense of what people using the site are doing. And frankly, people that use Fantasy National are sharper than your general public. So stuff wavers a little bit. Like Day, for example, isn't quite as high on Fantasy National, but I know that Day is going to be a very popular play this week, probably a top 5 in terms of ownership play. So I just make my own little adjustments when it comes down to that. After that, going down the list, Power is going to be popular. Hoagie, Grayson Sigg, Matt Kuchar, and the Knights, who say Smith, will all be garnering ownership in the lower tier. I mean, Power's on the upper tier, but once you get below $8,000, those are the guys that I would assume to be over 10% or right around there. If you're looking for pivot plays this week on DraftKings, I mean, you probably don't want to use Zalatoris because he's not playing. So no one's going to use him at this point. Spieth really does seem like he's coming in not under the radar where he's going to be 3% owned, but of all the top guys, he'll probably be in that like 9 to 13% where everyone's going to be way above that outside of Fitzpatrick and Kisner and Palmer. Those three guys are legit going to be single digits this week, or right around that 10% barrier, probably a bit lower. So if you wanted to work in a few of those guys, like I picked Kisner of those three to work into my main lineups just because I need the ownership break somewhere. Although I am sticking with what I told Raza on the DraftKings show. No McNeely, no Cantlay, no Day for me. So I'm fading 3 of the top 5 in terms of ownership. So I don't need to make that many pivots down the list. And it might be a very short week for me if those guys start coming through. Now, I did include Day and McNeely in the course-specific builds, but in my main lineups, I didn't have them. But if Cantlay wins this by 5 strokes, I'm going to be losing all my money this week. That's okay. You know, won a lot of money last week. I can give some of it back this week. I don't plan on doing that, but that would be the way it's going. No one's using Chuck Hoffman. Down at the bottom at $8,100. He's dealing with this back injury. He hasn't played yet, but he's a great fit for this course. He's played really well at Pebble Beach over parts of his career as well. It's a risk. He could withdraw at any moment. He could withdraw right after lock starts. Then your lineups are absolutely fucked. But I think that he's a worthy gamble if you're looking for a pivot. The other guys, like, no one is using Cameron Champ. Like, he might be 2% owned. I don't love him here, but you know, the guy can win. He's won in a short course, too, at Sanderson Farms in the past. So that's not out of the realm of possibility. Minwoo Lee is probably the best player who's garnering almost no ownership right now. He is way down there. Matt Jones, not a lot of people are going to him in the lower 8s. The 8,000 range in general, outside of Mito, Hoagie, Bezadenhout, and Lonto are all going to be really underowned. If you have a really good feel for anyone in the 8s who aren't those 4 guys, use them, because you're going to be way overweight to the field. All right? I'm Pat Mayo. Thank you all for watching. Smash the like. Leave me the one and done down in the comments section. Sub to Mayo Media Network. Sub to the newsletter. And join FantasyNational.com. FantasyNational.com/Mayo for 20% off. PrizePicks.com. Code MMN at your first deposit will get you a deposit match of up to $100, and they're going to have some like free money for the Super Bowl. So maybe go in, play around on the site, and do it up, all right? I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
That Mayo experience! Experience!